you all to this literary forum program being organized by the Sahitya Academy on the occasion of Delhi International Arts Festival, which is being held in Delhi from 16th December to 30th December this year at different places in Delhi. We have invited three eminent writers, Dr. Rita Malhotra ji, Mr. Uttaran Das Gupta, who will be presenting some of their recent poems, and Ms. Shuma Daha, who will be reading one of her short stories in this program. First of all, before we formally start this program, I would request my colleague Shri Anupam Tiwari ji to welcome all the three guests with the Delhi International Arts Festival memento. Friends, the duration of this program is around 45 minutes. I have already informed our respected speakers. After which, if time permits, we have an interactive session for about 15 minutes. And before I request our respected guests this evening, let me briefly introduce them. First of all, Dr. Rita Malhotra ji, former Principal, Amna Nehru College, University of Delhi, is a mathematician, poet, essayist and a translator. She has 12 published books. Globally anthologized, her works have been translated into 13 languages, including Japanese, Hebrew, Serbian, Bengali and Hindi. Her recognitions include awards by World Congress of Poets, the Government of Romania, Ministry of External Affairs, and by Writers International Network, Canada, besides others. Our second speaker is Mr. Uttaran Das Gupta, is a New Delhi-based writer and journalist. He has published a book of poems, Visceral Metropolis, and a novel, Ritual. He has been awarded fellowships by Sangam House Writers Presidency, the Robert Bosch Foundation, and the Chevening Foundation. He teaches at O.P. Jindal Global University, Sonipat. And our third speaker would be Ms. Shuma Daha, who is a journalist, a prize-winning short story writer, and the author of two books, The Love Song of Maya K. and Other Stories, and The Swap. After working in senior editorial roles at the Telegraph and the Times of India, she now writes columns for a number of print and digital publications while pursuing a career in writing fiction. She is also a literary translator. Her English translation of a Bangla novel by One Fool has been published by Sahitya Academy. I will now request to start with Rita ji.
Namaskar. I would of course like to begin by thanking Sahitya Academy for this beautiful opportunity, and a special thanks to Rao Saab and Jyoti Verma ji. I have disappointed him twice, at this time I kept my promise. And so I think I begin here. As poets, you would agree that we are not detached from society, not from our social or cultural landscape. And therefore, each time, we return to poetry to give expression to our perceptions of and our emotional response to the world around us. So when the pandemic came, and it changed the very fabric of our lives. And we were forced to be unwilling and spectators in despair to a macabre spectacle, I would say. That is what compelled me to pen this first poem, which is dedicated to our doctors and medical professionals who were, of course, at the forefront besides other frontline warriors. The poem is called Connect, the connect between doctor and patient. The five elements conspire to assault my senses with that lethal invisible nemesis. Each agonizing breath borrows a minuscule puff of oxygen as I enter the township of solitude, nameless. They remain masked, calm, faceless. Yet we connect deep in my desire to cherish those outlying undreamt dreams and their humble urgency to shield a choking soul from the fangs of Yamaraja. Doctor and patient follow time's footsteps into the elated intersection of life's Venn diagram. We connect in our hopes. Hopes are not wayfarers, they too have a destination. We connect in our hopes, my focused hope to heal a fragmented consciousness, and theirs to lend that sanguine glow to yet another dying flame. We connect in our aspirations, mine to see them conquer, in fulfillment smiles, theirs to watch my exhilaration in victory-lined eyes. When gasping breaths first met them, when hopes were but a sea of ash, I was merely a COVID number. They the summoned saviors, strangers in arms then, we are soulmates now. We connect in our optimisms in a two-star constellation, draped in the same dreams, we battle the same foe, congruent hopes, we breathe synonymous desires. We connect in our goodbye gestures, their plural palms in farewell cheer, my folded hands, grateful tears, their nests woven in my heart, I say a silent prayer. Outside, an artfully attired, careful scale, in singular poise, in dainty pace, inhales deep the ethereal, mystical morning mist. Thank you. This is one of my angry poems. After all, there's a feminist in each one of us. And history has been witness that both psychologically and socially, women in a patriarchal society have often faced oppression, marginalization, trivialization. So I think it's, the woman's bitterness at being exploited day in and day out that arouses the woman in me so often. And, this is, and perhaps it also arouses the aesthetic sensibility in that woman. So I would just say that this poem is a result of that sensibility. It is called Leela is 16. Leela is 16. A year limps by in nano steps as Leela, the widow, remains a prisoner in the messy, confined core of everyday struggle, carrying the burden of invaded virginity and ostracization. Leela, the widow, turns 16 today in a faded white attire. The customary tears dried up long ago when destiny deceived, dazed emotions lost color through sinking sensations on the painfully pious bridal night when her glass-shattering shrieks broke the consciousness of the unity of her being, when oozing red spread its slow tentacles to engulf the fragments of kaleidoscopic glass bangles, her dream bangles. Leela, the widow, turned 16 today. As the candle of life burns at both ends, Leela continues to remain the distorted face of tragedy. Her silence has no secrets. Monsoons do not sing. Broken stories pile up into heaps of abuse and abandon as Lida, the widow, turns 16 today. This I'm not giving an interpretation, I leave it to our distinguished guests. I'll use the stone image here to express the reality of life. This is called Stone Smile. The riverside rock bemoans its mute existence. Dry days lie in tatters, uncertainty lurks behind iron black nights. Through deep shadows in its eyes, the mute riverside rock watches the riverbank come to life as lovers nestle under the canopy of darkness between the walls of the winds. Poetry in every pause. Burbling waters in mica shine wind their way past the weather-worn riverside stone, touching, teasing, sometimes mocking. Time arrives, beckons, summons. In a momentary lapse of reason, the surface calm stoic stone obliges the turbulence within and uproots itself to embark upon its course of destiny. Forging desires, the stone races ahead, unsheathing its confused dignity, in unflinching faith, in secret indulgence. It surges past abstract paths and narrow bylanes, beating the winds, overstepping the blurred lines between the reality of illusion and illusion of reality, in search of new land, a land where stones too can smile. I'll just read 1.5 poem more. The half is because, okay, you'll know very soon. Here I just chose this line. I have listened and I have looked with open eyes. I have poured my soul into the world, seeking the unknown within the known. And I sing out loud in amazement, lines by Rabindra. So I would now express my amazement in nature, and this is a first-person discovery. The poem is called Jugalbandi in the Niagara Falls. So this is Jugalbandi in the Niagara Falls. Jugalbandi of emotions evoked in the thundering roar of deafening, seemingly destructive waters. Hues of blue, green, white and silver relentlessly fall off the shoulders of the mesmerizing falls, speaking an extravagant language. Paradise descends on aqua green to bless the sun-nourished rainbow floating on dancing waters. Another paradise rises in a spray of pristine mist, permeating the cool, crisp air, in rhythms oblivious to the powerful pace, the drumming beats of breathtaking cascades, a sight that beholds all senses in the Jugalbandi of thunder and silence. Beauty in power, power in beauty. Shiva's spectacular Tandava comes alive in Jugalbandi with Parvati's laughter. Thoughts of the oneness of creation and the divine surge through fathomless depths of the Adbhuta. In an overriding sensation of ecstasy, time trots a furious pace, yet time stands still. Effervescence of captivating melody resonates through the soul, releasing it from illusions of suffering. Both time and space experience the stupendous, the sublime, in perfect Jugalbandi. Adbhuta in the cosmic canvas of nature, Adbhuta in the real yet surreal, as every moment discovers new creativity, new eternity, new infinities. And I conclude with a very short poem because I am an advocate of love, and I think it is one of the truest universal emotions. So this poem is called Desire. Very short. Deluging desire, we in shadows of a smile, beginningless, endless. Deluging desire waits in the shadows of a smile, beginningless, endless. Disquieting beauty, angelic, lilac skin, fragility of butterfly wings. She is darkness for you to sprawl upon, waiting for a not yet born kiss. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ritaji. Connect between doctor and patient. Leela is 16 stones smile, Jugalbandi and desire. These are the poems, very beautiful and touching poems. I will now request Mr. Uttarandas Guttaji to come up with his poems.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much to Sahitya for inviting me to read at this prestigious place, and also to the previous. So when we just came here, a minute ago, we saw that the hall was empty, and we were like, okay, nobody's come to listen to us. But that's not a very uncommon experience in the world. Right? When we go, sometimes when I will go and I see the place completely empty and there's nobody in an auditorium to listen to what I'm going to read. What is worse is when you're invited to read poetry at a restaurant or a pub, which is happening very often. And you go there in the evening or Friday evening like this, and people have ordered dinner and drinks with their friends and their family, and they don't want to listen. Right? And on nights when the IPL match is going on, so you're standing in front of the screen, and the IPL match is going on behind you, there are people drinking and eating in front of you, and you're trying to read and make them listen to poetry. So the first poem which I'm going to read today, and I was not planning to read it, but when I came here and saw the empty place, I thought I would read it. But now, of course, we have so many people here, so thank you all for coming. Okay, so the first poem is called Perils of Poetry Reading. Poets must learn to move quickly in public places. They must look out for projectile criticism, which is something I throw things at you, right? Someone threw a shoe at my friend for a sonnet they hated. And this is true, this actually happened to her. Best to avoid the downstage area. Carve between lines, be alert. The worst I have had is a mixer grinder crushing ice for cocktails. Right? So every time I would read a line, the mixer grinder would go. Yeah. Singing out at every enchantment. But this city is mostly safe. You will outrun your critics. They will not tear off your limbs, blind you, pluck out your heart. They will only stare at the TV behind you or keep browsing on their smartphones. This city is mostly safe. Couplets leading to murder are rare. We pretend to have an audience, to sell our books. But even if your words can conjure Noah's Ark, you will get used to the outright refusal of auto drivers in the pell-mell evening outside at Connaught Place. Get rid of all these postures, cloaks, pretenses. Be subtle, be less stuck up, learn to be casual. That's it. Thank you. Dr. Rabindra read a feminist poem, so I thought I will also read one of my feminist poems. And this was inspired by these two friends of mine who used to live and work in Delhi. And then they went off to some other place, but before going, they gave me their carpets. And these two women had like 6 or 7 carpets. So I thought, why do they have so many carpets? So that's what inspired, that question inspired this poem. Every time a friend leaves Delhi, I get a carpet or 2. Ethnic, intricate weaves, yoga mats, gifted with regret. One of them I asked, why did you buy half a dozen carpets for your one-room flat? She laughed. She said, was either a broom or these. How else was I going to fly? Public transport is inclement for women in this visceral city. Autos are belligerent, buses are unsafe, the metro is dull. So what is one supposed to do on a smoggy October night? We unroll our carpets, we take flight. Imagine the nocturnal view of tombs, forts, minarets, malls. Yet no matter how much I try, like in me, these carpets don't answer my calls. And rolled up, they deny my requests. My job is to be a keeper. I am merely a carpet sweeper. In 2016, President Barack Obama was the chief guest for our Republic Day function. And that year there was a newspaper article which was published. You know that in January it gets very smoky and polluted. And it said that because of those few hours that President Obama spent in the open, he lost 6 hours of his life because of inhaling this toxic air. So I wondered, what about us? Those of us who travel public transport and live here and work here, how do we survive this? So this is a poem inspired by a headline that I had read in a newspaper called "Delhi Will Drown in Its Own Waste." Delhi will drown in its own waste. The auto takes you in the smog, a wild darkness. A mangy dog growls at me, fearing I'll kidnap its litter. My woolen cap hardly keeps my thoughts warm. A jog I think will be good, and coffee. To my bed, books in a jiffy. But I spot it despite my haste. Delhi will drown in its own waste. Such headlines are ubiquitous, and the smog conspicuous. Obama, they claim, lost 6 hours of his life. This air devours human lungs. So what of us? That's it. Thank you. I will be reading one final poem. This is also inspired by my love for Delhi and my discovery of Delhi. Because I came to Delhi as an adult to work here, and gradually I discovered the place. One of the first places I visited was, of course, Ghalib's Haveli in Balimaran. And I used to live in South Delhi, so the metro and went there. So this is a description of how we reached Ghalib's Haveli and what we found there. Right? Kebabs outside Ghalib's Haveli. From Chandni Chowk metro station, a rickshaw to Balimaran should take 20 minutes or so. But the roads are bad. Are you sure his Haveli is still there? I asked my friend. Jain houses have blue doors. You demand that we stop near one to take a picture. Don't fear, we'll make it. Your palm on my wrist tries to assure me. I dig my fists, despairing, into my pockets. As the subject of your portrait, a man with a formidable villain moustache and a nasal voice, and you begin to chat. Stuck in my wheelchair, I have grown fat, he says. But in the army, when I was younger, they called me Pahalwan. And all the women, even married ones, in this lane would stare at me, on the charpoy smoking. But now, I only watch boys playing cricket. It's almost dusk when we reach the address. The guard tells us we have half an hour, maybe a little more to start the race. It is a disappointment. The poet is at best absent, hounded by insult, neglect. What memories could we collect from those colorless columns, walls, the unhappy, roofless hall? What did you think you would find? His hookah, the ink on his quill, still wet on paper. Gulzar Saab became its savior, so this place is still standing. And suddenly, what smells so good? You smile. Come, I'll show you. Out on the road, there remains no doubt about its source. A macabre, derelict shop selling the bulbs. The shop owner is called Ustad. Bitaki, you like it? You think he ate here? Hard to tell. But the master poet could have well been a patron of this master. This wasn't a complete disaster, was it? At least we found some food, which you must agree is very good for your stomach, if not for your soul. Thank you. If you have not been to Balimaran, you must go and you must try our discovery. Thank you so much.
शुक्रिया उत्तम जी, आपने अपने पोइम्स के साथ साथ सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन भी बताया, वो अच्छा लगा. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
शुक्रिया.
और सभी कवियों की तरफ से मैं एक शेर कह देता हूँ. अगर शायरी ही है मोहब्बत तेरी, अगर शायरी ही है मोहब्बत तेरी, ऐ खुदा मुझे गजल कर दे. So now I request Shuma Raha ji to come up.
Good evening, friends. Thank you so much, Sahitya Academy, for inviting me here to read one of my short stories. I was introduced as a journalist and an author, so most of my stories do reflect some of my journalistic preoccupations and my thoughts and things I've written about. And this particular story that I will read is called The Kill, and it was written in a mood of despair. It reflects part of India's contemporary reality, and but it's a bit about hate, but it is also about love, and especially thwarted love. So I'll start without further ado, and I crave your indulgence because as my fellow panelists, they've quickly finished, but it's a short story, so I'll probably take a little more time. The Kill. He stands by the peepal tree, sipping tea from a small plastic cup. He takes tiny sips to make the tea last, letting the steam from it warm his chilly nose. It is early morning. A cold sun rose some time ago, but it gives little light. All you see is a haze, a dense, powdery smokiness that films the sun, slides off the lampposts and the treetops and creeps into you, slowly burrowing into your veins. Moisture clings darkly to the tufts of grass on the pavement, and the frosty air holds its breath. In an hour or two, the sun may throw off its shroud. For now, the peepal tree looks misty blue, and the houses across the street seem dull and faint. Rohit doesn't mind standing in the sunless cold. He's young and strong. He can take the cold. Besides, he's nicely wrapped up. He wears a dirty red scarf that goes over his ears and around his head, a grey sweater, and the padded Blackman cheetah he bought for 1,200 rupees last winter. He wears his trousers over his pajamas for added warmth, and 2 pairs of socks, their holes roughly darned by himself. His black lace shoes are dusty, but they are a good sturdy pair, and none too worse for the wear. He stands there with one hand shoved deep inside his wind cheater pocket and the other holding the warm plastic cup close to his chin. His breath mingles with the steam and comes out in wispy white gusts. When the tea is finished, he tosses the cup with some regret. He can hear the sounds from the tea stall nearby, the hiss of the enormous aluminium kettle coming to a boil, the scrape of pots and pans being scrubbed, the desultory chat of the few customers who are here at this early hour. He feels like having another cup of tea, but he decides against it. The tea costs $5. He won't have another one just yet. So he goes back to watching the house. It's a nondescript house, that number 8 by 37, forlorn, brown and heat, with paint curling off the dirt street walls and bits of green sprouting from jagged mossy cracks. Kamal Shah and his family live on the ground floor. The first floor has just one small asbestos-covered room. The rest of it is a bare, roofless expanse strung out with a few clotheslines. A solitary rope cot rests against the low walls. The neighbors know that the 8 by 37 people have been wanting to add rooms to the first floor for years, but they never have enough money to get the job done. Kamal Shah has a large family to support, a son away in college, a daughter at school, his parents and wife. He's a member of the ill-paid, overburdened middle class with a list of must-dos and appearances to keep up. He's making sure that his children get a decent education. He has fitted his parents' bedroom with an AC recently. He tries to do his duty and pay his dues. He tries to put by a little every month. But more often than not, his government clerk's salary quickly drains away. There's always some unforeseen expense to take care of. So the Shahs do talk often about building rooms on the first floor, but they talk about it the way they might discuss plans for holiday abroad. They know there is a wide chasm between the wish and its fulfillment. Rohit knows Kamal Shah, of course. He has seen him hundreds, probably thousands of times, rushing off to work dressed in his brown trousers and a white terrain shirt, or coming back home in the evenings with slow, tired steps. He's a small, melancholy man who looks as if he needs some rest. Rohit doesn't think he has ever spoken to him much, but he talks to his wife Reshma Bhabi whenever he goes to their house to pick up or deliver the ironed clothes. He has known the family since he was a boy, when his father used to be the local presswala. Since he died 2 years ago, Rohit has been running the ironing business. He is now the master of the red hot chula and the smooth flat iron that he thwacks again and again on the clothes until every crease and wrinkle disappears and the clothes are folded in sharp, neat stacks. It was soon be time again to fire up the chula and start the day's work. Rohit hopes Chotu, his assistant, will do it. But the lazy rascal rarely starts work unless shouted at and told to get a move on. He curses under his breath. In a bit, he will have to leave his watch and go back to his ironing shed. He simply can't leave things to that no-good Chotu. He needs to get back, Rohit thinks impatiently. What is the purpose of standing here anyway? No one told him to come here early in the morning today, and in this wretched cold too. Yet, waking up at 6 as he always does, he's assailed by such a sense of heart-hammering disquiet that he felt that he had to come here. He sprang out of his cot, dressed, made a hurried visit to the latrine, and swiftly crossed the 2 lanes that separate Kamal Shah's house and the jhuppi where he and his mother live. His mother, indiscernible under layers of rags and a threadbare blanket, was snoring uproariously when he left. Hey Bhavan, they had all been so angry last night. Raghu, Hukam, Krishna, Bhairo and he. They sat around a little fire made up with coal and bits of wood and dry leaves, toasting their hands over its crackling orange flames. Their faces glowed in the firelight, and their eyes flashed like animals upon the crowd. How dare they, spat Bhairo. Those sons of whores, those dirty bastards are insulting us, all of us, Hukam said, trembling with outrage. They are doing it on purpose, nodded Krishna, stroking his moustache thoughtfully. They are polluting everything, the neighborhood itself. But we don't have proof, hesitated Raghu. What more proof do we need, brother? Hukam turned to him indignantly. Chotu overheard Kamal Shah's mother talking when he went to their house that afternoon. Yes, and their maid that Chameli who does their buttons suspects it too, added Bhavan. We won't allow it, Krishna said, gnashing his teeth. By God, we won't. They are not exactly bosom friends, but they know each other well. Bhairo is an auto driver, Hukam has a fruit stall on the main road, Raghu, the peanut seller, is the poorest of the lot, and Krishna, the electrician, is the most well-to-do and by common consent, the most well-informed. They are local boys and men who sometimes get together in 2s and 3s to have chai pakode. They exchange mohalla gossip and talk about the wheelings and the dealings at the council, who made a killing, who got gulled, who took how much rishwat. They also keep their eyes and ears open for any immoral hanky-panky going on in the neighborhood. Dirty deals are one thing, they're a part of life, but illicit, galat stuff happening between men and women cannot be tolerated. So there's always plenty of talk on the street that goes well with chai pakode, or with glasses of cheap liquor that singe their throats and set their spirits blazing. Sitting in a dimly lit tepa of an evening, they may watch a bit of porn on Krishna's big screen smartphone and whistle and crack lewd jokes. But all this is just time pass. They're always somber and grave when it comes to the really important stuff like religion or morality. Although none of them is particularly religious or particularly moral, they set an awful lot of store by these things. It's like honor. They could die for it. Perhaps they could kill for it. This matter about the Shahs, for example, it had to be tackled. Did those people have no fear? Didn't they know that they were playing with fire? Well, then show them what comes of crossing the line. We have to teach them a lesson, a very harsh lesson, Hukam explained, not for the first time. Has Chotu talked to anyone else? Bhairo asked. He may have, Rohit said carelessly. The rascal goes gossiping around the entire mohalla. I can hardly get him to do any work. So the news will spread, Krishna said. Who knows? It may have spread already. I must speak to the councillor Singh ji. He will know what to do. Iski saza milni chahiye. There was a grim chorus of approval. Zarur milni chahiye. Shall we inform the police too? Rohit asked. No, Bhairo said. There are 1,000 hassles when you involve the police. Krishna Mai is right. We must consult Singh ji. Why not call him right now? He said and turned to Krishna. Not now, Krishna said shortly. He's with his mistress now. They sniggered at this. Their fury momentarily forgotten as they pictured the sexagenarian Singh ji bouncing on some fleshy young woman. That fat old man, exclaimed Raghu, chuckling, and horny as hell, huh? Let it be, Krishna said curtly. Let's focus on this situation. So they sent out WhatsApp messages to some others in the neighborhood. Soon more people joined them. They were regular folk, shopkeepers, tradesmen, vendors. They were all God-fearing men mostly. And they were all trying to eke out a living in this drab, downbeat locality where development has devolved into smartphones. Some had heard the rumor already. News spreads fast in the slow mohalla. Whispers swirl and gather pace like angry dust storm. The fire had gone out. Only the cinders glowed and smoked, but they stood there, reluctant to leave the spot of fast-fading wall. The cold night air stung their eyes and made them water. They rubbed their hands, coughed, grew hoarse, and spat. Every day they flailed vainly at 1,000 injustices. Every day they felt defeated and done in. But not this time. They had agency this time. This was one assault on their common dignity they could retaliate against. They could avenge this abomination. Those stinking, immoral shafts, they would show them. They bubbled in their rock as the crescendo of their ferocious whispers rose like the wing flaps of a giant night bird. They were a shabby band of men, but their blood was up, and they grew immense and strong, itching to hand out a sentence, itching to execute it at once. Who knew that Kamal Shah would turn out to be such a scoundrel? What a devious, vile little man, exclaimed Ramji, who works at the grocery store. By the way, he's always trying to get out of paying his dues. He owes thousands. They knew this wasn't true. No one had ever heard that Kamal Shah owed anyone money. But right now, they didn't want to nitpick about such things. So Ramji continued. The little silver ring he wore in one ear glinted in the dark. And his wife? What about her? She's Hindu, they say. That rotten man has already ruined one Hindu family. Maybe he kidnapped her and then married her. Saleh, he has been playing with our honor for years. Yes, he's Hindu, that's what people say. She's Hindu, that's what people say. Wait, Rohit, remember you told me that one day? Rohit nodded. Many years ago, he had once heard Reshma Bhavi say, Hey Prabhu, that clinched her religion for him. She's one of us, he had thought joyfully. It made him like her even more. Rohit had always been fond of her. As a boy, he used to think she looked like a fairy from heaven. He tried not to stare at her milky skin and her rosy fingertips with which she handed him the money for their eye clothes. Yes, she's new, he said a little loudly now, as though he wanted to place her outside their flaming circle of rage. They would have gone to Kamal Shah's house right then, but Krishna and Ramji do not. We have to consult the local leaders, the politicians. It could be complicated. They understand how to do these things. We must proceed carefully, said Krishna. Right, Ramji agreed. We must get more people too. Hundreds, thousands, they'll all come. When they hear what has happened, they'll come. And then we can go and beat the shit out of them. Rohit has been watching the house for almost an hour, as though he expects it to reveal its terrible secret in this cold morning light. Of course, we have good reason to be angry. He thinks defensively. It's unforgivable what they've done, going against the natural law, sinning against all that's sacred. And yet, since last night his fury has ebbed and flowed, at times giving away to a dread that envelops him like this foul winter mist. What if they're wrong? What if Chotu listened to pretend what Kamal Shah's mother was talking about? That boy has a hyperactive imagination after all. He's always making up things stories. And even if it's true, what will they do to Kamal Shah and his family? To Reshma Bhavi and Roshni, their 17-year-old daughter who is lovely as a spring day? He has watched her grow as he grew from boy to man. He's 24 now, time for him to get married, his mother says. But he balks at marriage. Not just yet, he says. Sometimes he comes upon Roshni and looks at her discreetly. She really is like a burst of Roshni, he thinks, a current of miraculous light. When she walks by with her serene, radiant face held high over the ivory column of her throat, he feels an exquisite spasm, a quickening in his blood that he tells no one about. Oh, he wishes it had been over last night when there was no time to think. They could have gone to the police or landed up at Kamal Shah's place or maybe slapped him around a bit. One slap and it would have put the fear of God into that thin, mousy man. It would have taught him a lesson he'd never forget. And now, who knows what might happen? He imagines Krishna, Ramji and the others going to the leaders. He pictures them sitting and planning the details of this operation. They will amass more people. Oh yes, they will. By evening, people from near and far will turn up here to punish Kamal Shah and his family for their sake. Should he warn them then? Should he knock on the door of that rickety blue painted door of number 8 by 27 and tell Kamal Shah to take his family and run? Rohit knows a part of him wants to do just that. Kamal Shah, his father and mother can go hang, but there is Reshma Bhavi and Roshni to think of. The morning is opening up now, and little by little the haze rolls away under the diffident sun. There are more people on the road than the usual sounds of a brand new day. An e-rickshaw sputters by carrying its cage of school children. They look like warm little bundles dressed in their navy blue hoodies and bright wheat caps. Their cheeks are dry and ruddy in the cold. A man pushes a cycle cart filled with winter veggies that gleam like jewels. He calls out as he goes, a sonorous ditty of Moody Pada Gobi Tomato that rings high and clear in the morning air. A smell of smoke wafts in from somewhere, bringing it with it the aroma of parathas sizzling in heat. The smell sparks a memory in Rohit. He remembers Reshma Bhabi feeding him biryani on weekdays. The biryani tasted so good. The long and fragrant ghee-soaked rice, the chunks of meat, dark, flavorful and succulent. He smiles at the memory, remembering how he would long for a second helping, and then Reshma Bhabi in her clairvoyant way would serve it to him without being asked. She often gave him something to eat when he went to their house in the evenings to deliver the kind clothes. He remembers sitting with her son Azad and eating filmi and kheer made with delicate threads of sevai and Habis kebabs. They were so soft that they melted in the mouth. She had once asked his father if it was all right for Rohit to eat at their place sometimes. His father, a humble man with a generous heart and a loud belly laugh, had said, "Of course it was. Wasn't every religion the same deep down? You are like a mother to Rohit. It is his good fortune that someone like you is fond of him," he had said. But then the ritual stopped at some point. Rohit doesn't recall exactly when or why. Maybe he just grew up. He grew up, dropped out of school in the 9th standard, and one day politely declined when Reshma Bhabi offered him a plate of something or the other. Standing at his observation post under the peepal tree, Rohit fidgets. He's usually not given to indecision, and now he is in this grave dharma sankat, a moral dilemma. What nonsense, he scolds himself at once. Where's the dilemma? They did something terrible, that Kamal Shah and his family. They must be taught a good lesson. Then why is he standing here like a village idiot, dithering and debating? He takes out his phone from his pocket and his pocket of his jacket and looks at the time. It's 7:30. Soon someone will spot him and ask why he's loitering here. He can say that he's watching to make sure that Kamal Shah doesn't run away. But that will sound lame. Besides, not everyone knows that Kamal Shah needs watching or that he might run away. And then he sees the blue door of 8x37 opening and Roshni stepping out. He feels that familiar, dizzy tingling in his scalp when he sees her. She's dressed in a school uniform, bottle green cardigan, blazer and skirt, and green stocking. She walks towards him now. Her step is carefree and light, as though she were going to a dance. Her forehead is bright as a mirror, and her night black hair is tied in a long plait that hangs down her front. Her satchel swings against her hips as she walks. She looks straight ahead, seeing and not seeing, and her coral lips suddenly break into a smile. For one ecstatic, heart-stopping moment, Rohit thinks she's smiling at him. Then he realizes that she's probably thought of something amusing. It's a secret little smile, a moment of her private joy, and it makes the morning jubilant and thrilling. And in that instant, Rohit understands why he's here. He understands that he has come at this early hour so he can see Roshni when she goes to take the bus to the school. He has come to find out if the sight of her can change the course of today. His heart swells and lurches painfully into his throat. She's near him now. He hears the swish of her skirt and feels the air rippling at her approach. He takes a step forward to tell her what he can. He has to whisper it quickly, urgently. He doesn't know what he will say, but in a moment he will. Roshni stops. She's startled to see Rohit walking her way. They look at each other. He speechless, she astonished, incredulous. Then another expression splits across her face. And sidestepping him neatly, she walks on as if nothing has happened. At once, Rohit too turns around and walks away, yanking off the scarf around his head and pulling down the zipper of his wind cheater with a vicious grip. He feels hot suddenly, hot, lumpy, and ill-dressed. His rage is like a red mist before his eyes and he can barely see. Her look burns in his brain, the look of contempt and pity, of faint distaste at the audacity of small men. By nightfall, they have started gathering 2 streets away. The local leaders have planned this well. The news has been skillfully spread, the rumors affirmed, inflated, and embellished. The fire has been lit and stoked, and their fury is a roaring conflagration now. The crowd stirs and beats. like red-eyed bulls raring to run and gore. They have come from all over, some from places a few hours train ride away. It's a just cause after all, justice must be done. Brothers, they've eaten the forbidden flesh, thunders the counsellor Singh. Who knows, they may be eating it as we speak. They have slaughtered our beloved Bhamata and devoured her. They've made their unclean biryani and beef kebabs. Shall we let them commit this heinous crime against our religion? Shall we let them defile our Muhalla? He cries. No, they shriek in response, and 100 fists rise up and punch the air. Maro, Maro, beat them, kill them, snarl the Rakshas, the protectors. Their eyes burn with sacred hate, and they raise their sticks heavenward as they mention upon their holy war. What are we waiting for? A woman screams shrilly. They knew it was a crime, they know it's a sin, yet they have done it to make a mockery out of our religion and our laws, cries the local party leader. What shall we do to them? Beat them, kill the sons of whores, they howl, beginning to move already. Cold wind whips around them, but they barely feel it. They are fused in their frenzy, turned into a headless mass of blood and sinew that surges forward and seeks more blood. Rohit surges with the mob and thinks of nothing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very touching story. I thank all of you these speakers for taking your precious time. And on behalf of Sahitya Akademi, I also thank all of you who have joined us in this program. And हमारा अगला कार्यक्रम इसी सभागार में 26 तारीख को युवा साहित्य जिसमें 3 पार्टिसिपेंट हैं